You're up.
Front runner and no-show this time on the program. Joining me now, O'Brien Murray, GOP strategist and co-founder of the New York Meeting. Hadley Heath Manning, senior policy analyst of the Independent Women's Forum. And John Feehery, director of governmental affairs at Quinn Gillespie and Associates. And John, in the latest polls, if you add up people who have either never held public office or are running against the Republican Party, they're garnering 2/3 of the support for candidates. What's going on?
Well, there's obviously a lot of disillusionment with Washington, D.C. and how it's running. I think there's disillusionment with the economy. There's disillusionment with globalization writ large. And I think that anger is actually winning the day. And I think if you look at either a Ted Cruz or a Donald Trump, they are running completely against the Republican political establishment, of which I'm a proud member. And they're winning quite convincingly so far in the polls. We'll see what happens once people actually go and vote. We don't know yet. And I'd like to see the analysis after the voters actually get a chance to vote.
Tonight, Hadley Manning, Donald Trump will not be there. Is that a good opportunity for the campaigns that have been struggling to get oxygen on that debate stage?
It is a good opportunity, especially if those candidates refrain from talking about or even mentioning Donald Trump in tonight's debate. Even in his absence, he looms large in this 2016 election. But rather, I hope the candidates tonight focus on policy ideas, focus on spelling out their path for taking the country forward, rather than settling internal disputes in the GOP primary.
Well, are there things that you at the IWF would have wanted to have been talked about all along in this pre-primary season that haven't been getting enough attention, that in the absence of Trump, instead of talking about each other and who did what and who said what about who, the voters might get a chance to hear about? What do you want to hear?
Well, certainly most voters want to hear about how their frustrations with the economy and with today's political establishment will be addressed. It's not enough simply to be angry, but to have policy solutions, whether it's the issue of the economy or health care or national security. We want to hear leadership, a path forward from these various candidates. And if you listen to the Democratic candidates, for example, when they talk about certain issues, especially economic issues like the cost of health care, the cost of education, the cost of college, they do a good job addressing those middle-income families and talking about the issues that those voters care most about in terms of their pocketbook. So I'd like to hear Republicans address some of those issues. They do have the policy solutions. They do have a way to address the problems in our economy, which has been restricted, held back, unfortunately taking steps away from free enterprise, what we would call free markets, and addressing, putting us back on the right path to economic growth is going to be something that also impacts those pocketbook issues.
O'Brien, earlier in the campaign, one of the operating theories, one that I heard from people like yourself, was that at a point the campaigns would start to consolidate, the establishment campaigns would start to move up, that Trump would cease to be a factor. Yet here we are, the Thursday before Caucus Monday night in Iowa, and those things have not happened. Is there a new theory of the case?
Ray, you mean people that sit here like me are wrong sometimes?
I know, it's
incredible. I think the reality... But I think the reality is that Donald Trump is unlike any other candidate. Whether we talk about the day he showed up on the race and frankly offended a lot of people, or as he's done throughout the campaign and his numbers didn't go down, the American people are frustrated with the system in Washington right now, and Donald Trump is hitting that nerve. And frankly, Ted Cruz is too, and as you point out, the anti-establishment numbers are much greater right now than the establishment. And this is always... Everyone always thought this was going to be a long road at this point because, and I sat on the show before, with so many candidates in a primary, the difference between first place and fifth place was going to be only 5 points possibly. Now with Donald Trump, that concept is out the window. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump has made himself a force in this election. And even tonight, I've heard reports of hundreds of media credentials being requested from the Trump campaign to cover his speech right now. So at this point, you're going to have the viewers watching Fox for the debate and watching your station and others potentially as you carry Trump live for his speech. We've never seen this in the American political environment before. So we are in different times, no question about it.
A party candidate, John Feehery, counter-programming against his own party's debate.
It's an amazing situation we find ourselves in. And it shows you the weakness of the Republican Party and the strength of someone like Donald Trump, who can go outside the party structure and develop all of this energy and be, kind of unorthodox in his approach. The fact that he is going to do this thing and get as much media attention, I think is dangerous for the media in the long run, because, why would any frontrunner ever go to a debate again? But I think it's interesting because Trump is so unorthodox in his approach, so not a politician, and the fact that he's not a politician is so hitting a chord with the voters.
Hold it right there, because I want to pick up when we come back about whether it made sense for CNN to pick up that Trump counter event.